Testament, but in particular in the Proverbs and in Ecclesiastes, and referred to as she or her, like wisdom brings her cloak or whatever it is, and you know, in metaphorical language, in the way that God Father is he, wisdom is given the feminine, you know, terminology. And Chokmah, when translated into Greek, is Sophia. The word is Sophia. So we know Sophia as a name, but when we talk about Sophia, we're not talking about a particular entity as such. We're not talking about, you know, like a saint or an angel or an angelic being. It's just the word for wisdom. So I've been reminded that wisdom in the Gnostic Gospels and in the Pistis Sophia, the story is that wisdom is, Sophia is actually trapped in this world. If I need to read, I need my glasses on, but if I'm going to be talking, I'm best without them on. Sophia is trapped in this world of matter, in the myth, and is trying to find her way home. This is sort of the story of Pistis Sophia. And the key to getting back home are the mysteries and unlocking the mysteries. So it's through understanding, through knowing, through enlightenment, if you like, that she'll find her way back out of the grip of this world and the archons that control the lower realms. And that comes through light or enlightenment. That passage home comes through enlightenment. So the idea of the world being like a prison is very much a Gnostic idea. And that carries over into theology, into Catholic theology, because you get the idea of this realm of tears, praying to Mary to deliver us from this realm of tears so we can be back home with God. Now, I'm just looking at my notes. Okay. Jung's Sophia. So I've been thinking about Jung a lot. You know that Jung is one of my teachers in spirit, in the team, and so I have a lot of conversations with Jung about this book, which is really his informed, his psychology of the soul, his mapping of the soul and the psyche. The red book's massive. I can't even begin to know. I think I tried to show you it before. It's got images that he drew, all these mandalas, all this writing. These were from his notebooks. Can you just see that amazing writing? I could do a whole video on this one again sometime. There's so much, but I wanted to actually have this again, perhaps for a similar reason, actually, that looking at the words, the actual words that he wrote, and the mandalas, the pictures that he drew, there's maybe a sort of coding, because they're carrying and transmitting information, just like you get those codes that you scan, you know, on letters and things, and on things that you buy, QR codes. These images, they're like icons. They might not mean anything to the conscious mind, but maybe at a deeper level to the soul, there's a language that is understood and information is transmitted by them. So Jung is interested in Sophia, has always been interested in Sophia. And his idea of Sophia has like two roots to it. One is Gnosticism and one is alchemy. And I'm not going to talk too much about alchemy this time, because there's so much. But certainly the two are connected. So the idea is that in religion, we have the Father who saves us from the world, the problems of the world, the suffering of the world. and saves us from above. So it's kind of descending to rescue us. And that's the masculine face of God, if you like. Whereas that's not the only way that God saves us. God saves us also from below, not only from above. From below means going down, down into the depths of your own experience, the depths of human experience, the depths of suffering and trauma and heartache and loss and grief and tragedy, all of the stuff that makes up the experience of life here in the 3D on this earth and this world. So that's where we find God. Find God through staying with that experience and working through it. Okay, bring the songs in. Okay, bring the songs in. I think that's George. The songs are, you know that when my spirit is crying for leaving, and you want the stairway to heaven, that's Led Zeppelin's song. It's a line from Led Zeppelin. There's a line that says, my spirit is crying for leaving. And you can get that experience when you're in suffering, when you just have existential crisis and you yearning for something more. You can even get that experience in nature just through awe and wonder when you have nature mysticism, like when you go up to the mountains or you're in a beautiful place and your soul just aches because it's sort of calling you home. So that's from the earth that you're having that experience of nature mysticism. So in a way that's Sophia, because it's not all dark stuff. It might be a sort of joy, but there is an aching with that joy because some part of you is aware of being unfulfilled and you're wanting something that you can't quite put your finger on. Just as Janet said, I can't quite say what it was about that. But she said at the end, I didn't read it out, she said it kind of mesmerized me. And there is a sense in which something just calls to us, summons us. In fact, thank you, just been snagged. That's what advocate means. That's another word of the advocate, advocata, the judge. It also means to summon and to call. And so that's the meaning, nostra advocata. Advocata nostra means, there's a calling. And that's all Sophia energy because it comes from the world. Okay, this is God for non-believers. That's what I just heard. So there is no escaping from God, but some people don't like the idea of God. They reject it because of religion. And they will call themselves atheists. But it's not possible to be an atheist because it's not possible to not be. And since God is the root of all being, the ground of all being, you as a human being cannot detach yourself from your godness. But some people need conceptually to detach from those ideas, possibly because of abuse, trauma, hurt, disillusionment from organised religion. And those people find solace often in the earth. The earth will call to them. They will take themselves into nature. The lakes, the mountains, the beaches, caves, rivers, streams. These are places that they will feel connected with themselves. They come home to themselves. And of course, self, with a capital S, is God, is ultimate source that is interdimensional. God is in every single dimension, the myriads of the dimensions, the hundreds, thousands of dimensions that exist. It is not possible to escape from God. But God meets us where we're at. And so for atheists, for materialists, for empiricists who only recognize the material, the earth, what they can see and feel with the five senses. God will meet them in that. But there is always a calling to a deepening. And the calling for the deepening, if it doesn't come from above, it will come from below. And it'll come from the dark stuff. It'll come from out of the struggle. It is our immediate reaction to want to be rescued from the struggle. At that point, some might call out to God, God above. And sometimes rescue happens. Sometimes miraculous changes take place and we are thankful that we are out of the problem, the difficulty, the darkness. But sometimes the darkness lasts for longer than we would wish or choose. At some level, however, we have chosen it. At some point, however, at some level, however, we have made a choice for the lessons that come from the darkness. The unconscious will come through. This is wisdom. We can use this word unconscious. Jung and Jungian psychology would say the unconscious. We can use the word Sophia. We can use the word God. It comes from underneath. It's when God comes from underneath, from the material itself. And that includes the material of your body. That includes the material of the flesh. So all of the struggle that your flesh might bring, pains and aches and limitations, frustrations, desires, yearning that are unfulfilled. This in itself, the body itself in that sense is limited, in the sense of its limitation of the five senses, and it's also its limitation as a localized being. For the soul, which is non-local, is a kind of prison. So we're back to the idea of the prison, as I showed in the photograph of Mary, behind the prison door, bars, and in Gnosticism, the idea of Sophia being trapped in the earth plane and wanting to find her way home. So the message really for today is that God in the stuff of the material is Sophia, and that's what we need to know about Sophia Wisdom. And it's lovely that this word wisdom, we know it in our own lives, don't we? When we meet people who are wise, they have a mellowness to them that is warming, that is comfortable, that makes us feel not judged, makes us feel comfortable in their presence, and makes us feel that they can give us wise counsel, that they'll understand, that they've touched on something deep that's therefore perennial and universal. It speaks to the universal experience of humanity, so that they'll understand. They're not at the ego level where we're thinking we're separate and they might be judging. And so that is God. When people have the stories of a grandmother or someone that they knew, and they'd sit on their knee and they just felt safe and at home and loved. That's Sophia. It's earthy love, it's enfleshed love, but it's divine. So to come back where we started with Janet's comment that she always thought that pictures of Mary belonged to the Catholic Church, and as a Protestant, it wasn't something that she could relate to. They felt somehow that God was far away and unattainable, and even the ideas of Mary was someone pure and holy and so unrelatable. This is completely enfleshed Godness in our human experience, in the flesh and blood of our bodies. and in our experience. And what I'm hearing now is that if we refuse to acknowledge a deeper dimension of life and refuse to acknowledge the real purpose of why we are here and who we are, because we've chosen cerebrally or cognitively to be existentialists, to say I'm a materialist, I'm an atheist. If we choose that stubbornly, then what will happen is the unconscious will just keep calling and calling, and that call might get more dramatic. So that finding ways to get your attention. And so the problems will come, the struggles will come, those circumstances and situations of life will come. Oh yes, the inner and the outer reflect. That's what they want me to talk about and say about is the dreams. We know that dreams are a way of connecting with the unconscious. We know that there is meaning. We find meaning in our lives and what's happening in our lives through dreams. Some people do it through the images of like the tarot and cards and say, well, what does this mean? What's happening now? Showing. But other people look at their dreams and the symbolism of what it might mean. What's the deeper meaning of it? And what I'm learning and being shown is that this world is a dream. So we have, what is it now? The ego is a dream that the soul is having. The soul is a dream that spirit is having, and spirit is a dream that source is having. It's almost like Russian dolls, just layers upon layers. Conceptual, because everything is just arising in consciousness. What we think is reality is simply arisings in consciousness. And the dreaming is a form of consciousness, a different type of consciousness than waking consciousness. But what we think of being our default normal of reality, because we're coded that way and programmed that way, is just another dream, another layer of dreaming. And so, to come back to what I was saying, these synchronicities give us meaning. So, as without, so within. Just as dreams have meaning, so we can find events in life also are there to wake us up, to give us meaning. And sometimes they happen synchronistically. What I mean by that is if you were thinking of, I don't know, for example, if the horse had meaning, a horse was a symbol of creativity, and you were being told to start on that creative project, whether it's starting to write a journal or starting up a podcast or whatever it is, and you were thinking about doing that, and you dreamt of a horse, and you looked at the symbolism of me and you thought, oh, this is telling me, to run. This horse was running in my dream, and I know it's saying go with it, and just as you were thinking, but I wonder if that means anything, the minute you think, you start to doubt it, and you look out of the window, and a van drives past with a Pegasus on the side of it. The name of the company was Pegasus or something, and there was a little icon of a galloping horse or whatever, flying horse. Then that would be an example of synchronicity, because it's the internal and the external, so-called, agreeing, when there's agreement, which is Sophia's way, God's way, of saying there's no separation between the inner and outer. There is no separation. Happens to me all the time with numbers. I'll just pick up my phone and it'll be 1515 or 1551, that reversal of numbers. Still, a lot of those people call them angelic numbers, don't they? And I always smile to myself. I don't necessarily think, what's the meaning of that? I need to find out what the meaning of those, that the numerology. I don't necessarily think that, but it's just like little God winks. That the timing of everything is unfolding perfectly, because there's no separation from the psyche and the outside world. So everything is consciousness driven, and you're in the driving seat of consciousness, and the whole purpose of your life is the same as the purpose of my life. We don't all have different life purposes, you know. There's only one purpose, and that is to find out who we are, to discover who we are, to discover the self with a capital S. And yeah, to know that we can work our way back through those layers of ego, soul, spirit, source. And it's just a continual stream. So, I hope there was something in there for you. I don't think I've forgotten anything. I'm going to just glance at my notes quickly. Here's something that I wrote. Sophia is a gateway to the spirit, ascending from the earth, even in difficult circumstances. And I'm just hearing especially in difficult circumstances. It's often in the struggle. So we can avoid the struggle, or we can go directly to ascension, or we can, we can just keep working through problems and struggles until the ascension or the enlightenment comes through it, until we reach a point of just surrender. And the choice is ours. Yeah. I think that's it. Oh, here, this is the link that I hinted at earlier with Alchemy, because I've written we can ascend with salvation or freedom is either being rescued, delivered by the Father from above, the masculine divine protector or redeemer, or it's ascending from below, which means integration of the opposites, integration of the shadow stuff, the dark stuff, through compassion. It rises up from the depths, and the dark is transmuted by love, by compassion, by acceptance of ourselves, rather than projection. And there's another song. This one I think is Alanis Morissette, The Only Way Out is Through. Yeah, and the transmutation relates to the alchemy. So those are the two parts of Jung's approach. Gnosticism and alchemy are the Sophia way of God, finding God in the world. And so that's something that we'll talk about more another time, because yeah, the alchemy is all done on the internal through active imagination. And as I am being shown methods of doing this, I will share them with you. If you have any questions or comments having watched the video, please let me know, leave a comment below, and yeah, I hope it's touched you in some way. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. All my love. God bless.